Final video from the beautiful city of Seattle. Rumor is that the 49ers planted a flag on the top of the Space Needle behind me. Maybe if we zoom in, we can see it. But there's the Puget Sound, there's the downtown skyline here from Cary Park. A good spot for grades. Big injury update just came from Kyle Shanahan. Brock Purdy is dealing with both a shoulder injury and a toe injury coming out of this game in Seattle. Shanahan said that the toe injury is actually more serious than the shoulder, which is the non-throwing shoulder. The left shoulder happened when Purdy was driven to the ground in the first half on a throw to Ricky Pearsall. So he did finish the game despite these injuries, but they're obviously now on the injury report. 49ers are going to see how the next 48 hours go for Brock Purdy. If he can't play on Sunday, Mac Jones would start for the 49ers. Other news is that George Kittle is going to be out for at least a couple weeks. They haven't decided if injured reserve is going to be something for his hamstring. That is a 4-game minimum stay. So that's why the 49ers are still trying to determine more. And same boat for Jawan Jennings, although Kyle Shanahan did say that Jennings has a chance to play this week against the Saints. Also, day-to-day injuries for Ben Bartch, 49ers starting left guard. Starting with the quarterback position, where Brock Purdy, this is going to be in the A range for sure. There's no question about it. Take a look at the expected points added per play. That is an extremely high percentile mark, 0.41 per play. In fact, if you compare his completion percentage over expectation, which is also soaring through the roof, 15.3%, with the EPA per play, they've got the composite grade. That's a good way to objectively evaluate how quarterbacks do. Purdy, number 3 on the weekend, behind only Lamar Jackson and Jordan Love. So Brock, who's been the most efficient quarterback in the NFL ever since joining this league in 2022, keeps on doing his thing. And he's going to be a lightning rod for the rest of his career, just the way that it's going to be. He's not going to be fairly evaluated, but the way that I say it is that this is a game that he played without his top 2023 receiver, without his top 2024 receiver, without his all-world tight end, against pressure coming on 58% of snaps. This was the highest level of pressure that Brock Purdy had seen in his career, with his team spotting 6 points on special teams because of the field goal problems against the hopeful top 5 defense, and Purdy still delivered a top 3 efficiency score. It's as simple as that. You know, anybody else trying to parse this any differently is not grading Brock Purdy on a fair scale. He had about 42 decisions to make yesterday, and he made the right decision about 40 or 41 times. And that's good for any quarterback, including all the quarterbacks who are now in the Hall of Fame. So this was an epically good performance from the 49ers QB, who was the best in the league against quick pressure in week 1. Pressure that came in 2.5 seconds or less. Brock Purdy, expected points added per play and success rate, the very top right of this graph gives you a really good idea of how good Purdy was in his first game since signing that new contract. So we'll say A- for Brock Purdy. If you really want to be a stickler and say he could only have an A if it's totally perfect, blemish-free, then have at it. But it's not that serious, guys. These are just grades, and I'm just giving you good information. Running back position, this is tough because in general, I'll tell you, all of the 49ers skill positions, I have them in the A range grade-wise. The offensive line, I'm giving a D or maybe an F. I do not think this game was well blocked from the run perspective. I thought Christian McCaffrey looked awesome with the opportunities that he had, and those came especially in the pass game. He had 143 all-purpose yards for the 49ers and was Brock Purdy's favorite receiver. 9 catches for McCaffrey in this game, including a big one on 4th down. I mean, it's hilarious that people thought that he wasn't going to play. He showed up out there and was the workhorse that we have grown accustomed to Christian McCaffrey being. But the 49ers only averaged about those 3 yards per carry, and they're now at a position right now where this run offense, this blocking is going to have to gel for this offense to take off and the way that they want it to soar. If you get the performances that they did from Purdy, from Pearsall, the receivers, I thought Juwan Jennings also had a big play before he got hurt. Kittle had a big game before he was sidelined, from McCaffrey. Even Brian Robinson Jr., I thought, did some nice running after contact. If you get all those performances from your skill position players, yet you only manage 17 points, there's something very wrong with the way that you're blocking up front. Now, Seattle had a very, very good defensive line. They took it to the 49ers in this game, so credit to the Seahawks, but the one missing piece for the 49ers offense was definitely the way that they blocked. So I've got an A- for the running backs. McCaffrey looked great. He's healthy. The freak out, as I was trying to tell you guys for several days, was out of control, premature, unwarranted, whatever you want to call it. His contributions in the pass game were huge, and Kyle Juszczyk, how about the big 32-yarder that Kyle Juszczyk delivered for the 49ers in the pass game? He was kind of leaked out as a screen blocker. It looked like he was faking that action. I think Brock Purdy, with time on that particular throw, there were a few throws with offensive line held up well. Purdy was able to scan downfield, and Juszczyk leaked out and caught the big gainer. He is a valuable, valuable Swiss Army knife for the 49ers, especially in games where they're shorthanded at the receiver position. You know, I'm giving the receivers an A because they were shorthanded, and Ricky Pearsall still made things work for the 49ers. You know, 108 yards on only 4 catches is big-time explosive production. First you had the little skinny post on the first drive, part of the 95-yard drive. Purdy threw that football before Pearsall was out of his break. So every single one of those completions, from the first skinny post to the deep corner that he just couldn't have walked up and handed it to Pearsall in a better spot, to the curl and go, those are all anticipatory throws that, you know, I saw Ricky miss the first few practices of training camp with the hamstring. He's been at essentially every one since then. And the reps that he was able to get in with Purdy over the course of the past month plus really, really paid off on the field at Seattle. I will say that once Brandon Ayuk comes back, Ricky Pearsall still doing what he's doing right now, the 49ers are going to be able to ease Brandon Ayuk back into things. And then Brandon is going to be in a position where once he's healthy, you've got Pearsall and BA as your top two, and then we'll see when Juwan Jennings is back as the number 3. Kendrick Bourne is now part of this team, and don't forget about Demarcus Robinson. So while the receiver position might be right now the biggest point of health concern, availability concern for the 49ers, it projects to be damn good moving into the future, and Ricky Pearsall is the one spearheading that. Tight end. Well, you saw the picture, the candlestick catch and the Los Gatos leap. It goes down as an iconic play in 49ers history. As I said, this is as big of a week 1 win as there can be. And the fact that, you know, Kittle was a huge part of this game plan, right? Kittle was taking over this game early. He had the big catch on 3rd down on the 95-yard drive. Then he had a 3rd down catch in the red zone for the touchdown. That was the one player whom it looked like the Seahawks were not going to be able to handle. And once he suffered the hamstring injury, there was obviously great concern on the 49ers sideline about how they were going to pick up some of that slack. And I have to give credit not only to Jake Tonjes, who delivered that massive catch, but also to Luke Farrell. There was a 4th and 2 where Purdy scanned through all of his progressions, right to left. Farrell was brought in here for his run blocking. He had to make a catch, final read in the progression, about to get crunched by 2 defenders, and he held onto the football in a high-stakes moment, in a 4th down moment. It's a ball that he probably doesn't get if George Kittle is in this game, but he had to step into that role, and you could say the same thing about Jake Tonjes. The touchdown pass to win the game is a ball he probably doesn't get if George Kittle is in this game, which, you know, Tonjes entered this with no career catches in the NFL, but he got it and he made the most of it. And if you look at every Seahawks social media page and message board right now, they're extremely frustrated with Reek Woolen, the corner, for not putting up a better fight for that football. Well, I think on the flip side, Jake Tonjes deserves a lot of credit for willing his way to that ball and making an instant classic of a catch for the 49ers. Now, with all that being said, all the good stuff about the tight ends in the pass game, they also are part of the blocking apparatus in the run game. And that's where the 49ers still need to be a lot better. And I think, somebody like Luke Farrell's never blocked in this system. They like his physical skill set for it, but he still hadn't done it in the 49ers system. So they're at a spot right now where this run game, it's going to take a few weeks to gel. That's why Shanahan offenses don't turn on the afterburners until late October, early November, because the zone blocking scheme, it's so focused on cohesive movement and teamwork, and every inch and every degree of an angle matters. So when you look at somebody like Farrell trying to fit in, when you look at the offensive line right now, breaking in a new starter at left guard, and Ben Barch, Dominic Puni, maybe still a little slow from the knee injury, making his first start back from that. He suffered that against the Raiders in the second week of the preseason. You look at all these different dynamics, the 49ers have to get everyone on the same page. And that's when that outside zone scheme starts to sing. So that's my note for the 49ers tight ends and obviously for the offensive line, which not only struggled run blocking wise against the really good Seattle front, but also Trent Williams gave up 6 pressures in this game. And I know he went to the injury tent, looked like something on the calf, something lower body, but he only missed a play. It's a lot of pressures to give up. It's the most pressure Trent Williams has given up since 2018, back when he was with Washington. You can't forget that he's 37, but there are a few things here at play. Trent missed all the preseason games. And, that's by design. The 49ers at age 37 are trying to keep him healthy and fresh, but that means he's got to play his way into actual game shape over the course of the regular season. So is it going to take 3 weeks? Is it going to take 4 weeks? It's always fair to ask how much of this is age related, because at some point he is going to hit a little bit more of a wall. So it definitely is a fair concern to have. But if you're weighing the potential impacts of rust versus the potential impacts of being dinged up versus the potential impacts of just being 37 years old, if you're the 49ers, then you can hope that it's with the injury, whatever minor thing might have happened, and the rust that were the biggest culprits for this Trent Williams performance. Also, he's playing a really good Seattle defense. So I think that when you're dealing with a future Hall of Fame player, it is always extremely foolish to apply a one-game sample and make judgments based on that. But obviously, Trent's going to have to be better than he was in week 1. I think Dominic Puni struggled a little bit in the run game for the 49ers, but there's a caveat there too, coming off that knee injury. That, in fact, it seemed like a miraculously quick recovery for Dominic Puni, given the fact that they thought it was going to be closer to a month, and it's only a couple weeks before he was back out on the practice field for the 49ers. I thought Barch was good. I thought he was their best run blocker in this game. I thought Jake Brendel was better than people always give him a hard time. People always try to think that Jake Brendel is the worst 49ers offensive lineman, but in this game, he was decent in pass protection, and I don't think anybody, maybe outside of Barch, was particularly good in the run game. They all have to get on a better, more cohesive page. I will say, though, that Colton McKivitz was sturdy on that right side in pass protection for San Francisco, and it just so happened that probably at some point before the game, he agreed to his contract extension, $45 million over 3 years. All right, let's flip it around to the defensive line. The 49ers only gave up 3.2 yards per carry. So, you look at last year, and this was one of the more brutal run defenses that the 49ers had ever fielded. Number 29 against the run. Everything that they did this offseason was geared toward fixing the run defense. All of this defensive renovation. So you go out and you draft Michael Williams. You don't draft him because he's a ready-made pass rusher. You draft him because he could set an edge against the run, and then he could push a pocket, and push a pocket the 49ers did. You look at some of the graphics from yesterday as far as how much they constricted the pocket. League average is, 4.57 yards. Michael Williams was on average 3.74 yards away from the QB. Bosa was closest to the QB consistently at 3.26. Williams did what he was supposed to do in the pass game, what the 49ers expected him to do in the pass game. He's not going to wow fans, casual observers, right away because he's not going to be winning one-on-ones cleanly, but you're counting on him to use the length to push the pocket into the quarterback. That obviously happened. Michael was double-teamed on the final play of this game when Sam Darnold ran, or Nick Bosa ran into Abe Lucas, pushed Abe Lucas into Sam Darnold. There was the fumble, it was a strip sack, and the 49ers won it all. That play, Michael Williams was drawing a double team, rushing from the inside. So setting the edge against the run, if you can do that, and then if you could do what he did on the pass rush in these third down situations or in these passing situations from a defensive tackle alignment, that's going to be more than enough for the 49ers in his rookie season. You know, just rule of thumb, whenever your 8th or 9th defensive lineman, that's Sam Okawanu, is forcing a game-changing fumble against the opposition's best wide receiver, it means that your defense is probably playing damn hard and that they're well coached. And that's what Sam Okawanu did with the forced fumble in the fourth quarter. I thought that was a sign that the 49ers, they could really win this game. They could really somehow pull this one out in Seattle, and they did. And it was Sam Okawanu who'd been working on that all off season, ripping the ball out during tackles, and he got it done at a very, very big moment for the 49ers. Also, you know, you got to shout out to, thought Jordan Elliott played some solid football against the run, and Kalia Davis, when he took out Bradford, the right tackle, to deliver that TFL, a lot of those plays set the tone for the 49ers. And again, Seattle, only 3.2 yards per rush. Big time from the 49ers defense. They're ahead of schedule. They need to build on this momentum now, but it all does start up front. And, you know, it starts up front and it continues with the defensive coordinator. How about the 49ers blitzing in this game? Listen to this. On early downs, the 49ers blitzed just 15% of the time. But on third and fourth downs, Robert Saleh blitzed 63% of the time. And he often aggressively brought linebackers, multiple linebackers. So the very first blitz on that first third down, he brought both Fred Warner and D. Winters. He blitzed D 8 times in this game. So repeatedly, Robert Saleh, 63% is a wild blitz rate for third down. But he, I think, saw tape of the 49ers defense from 2024, saw them blitz only 17% of the time, saw them sitting back in coverage, giving up chunk yardage, letting opponents off the hook. Robert Saleh said that's not going to happen anymore. We're going to fight this on our terms. And Deommodore Lenoir endorsed it after the game, saying it makes the quarterback make a decision. So Winters was so good rushing the passer at TCU in college. The reason why D. Winters played his best game this time around is because I think Robert Saleh wasn't afraid to blitz him. That got him in the mode of flying around, and it was awesome. So 49ers linebackers, they get an A. 49ers defensive line, I'll give the defensive line an A-, but I mean, this was a great defensive performance, so expect some really good grades across the board. Cornerbacks, we're going to give them a B just because, we're going to grade Upton Stout tough. But it's not like he didn't bounce back. Upton Stout had the couple mistakes in the first half, but he roared back in the second half. Didn't need to grab Cooper Kupp in the first half, but rookies learn on the job, and that's fine for the 49ers. They overcame it. They got the win. The pass breakup that we saw, he successfully covered Cooper Kupp in the second half, and then he had the big PBU on that final drive. A really, really good sign that Upton Stout is on the right developmental trajectory. It's not going to be easy for the 49ers, but they certainly like what these rookies are made of and think that they can improve rapidly in this 2025 season. Lenoir, after talking all that crap about the Seahawks all offseason, didn't give up a single catch. And I know that Renardo Green gave up a little bit, but he also had a big pass breakup downfield against JSN. It was a back and forth battle between Renardo and the Seahawks' best receiver. End of the day, Sam Darnold had only 150 passing yards. It was just like around 100 when he hit JSN on that final drive. So no matter which way you slice it, this was a very, very impressive pass defense performance from the 49ers. Finally, you go to the safety position. That, I think you could tell watching the tape, that was the fastest safety duo that the 49ers have ever started, between Marquise Siegel and his 4.3 and Jason Pinnock and his 4.4. Pinnock had a play where he came in like a missile in the first half. And then Siegel, he's always around the ball. That's something that the 49ers really analytically liked about him coming out of Kansas State when they drafted him in that 5th round. Marquise was around the ball to recover the fumble forced by Sam Okawanu. Wasn't that an awesome symbolic moment for the 49ers? Finally, special teams, Jake Moody. I think you guys know the grade for that phase of the game. Was an F. Not much more needs to be said.
All right, guys. Injuries from the game. Ben Barch had a mild knee sprain. He'll be day-to-day. Juwan Jennings with his shoulder, we're still evaluating, waiting for that information to come back. George Kittle did have a hamstring. He's going to be out a few weeks. Brock Purdy hurt his left shoulder and toe. We'll see how this week goes for him. And that's it from the game.
Kyle, is one of those two Purdy injuries more severe than the other, and he in risk of missing a start or two?
I'd probably say the toe's worse than the shoulder.
And what about his availability this week?
Yeah, we were not sure. We got to see how it heals and how the week goes on it.
Is there any indication on how severe Juwan Jennings' shoulder injury could be?
No, the MRI was good. We're just waiting for a CT.
Kyle, with Brock's toe, is that a turf toe injury?
Just toe. That's all I got here.
Have you guys made any decision as far as how you plan to proceed at the place kicker position?
We're looking into all that stuff now. I mean, there's options. Just whether it's stay the status quo, we can bring in guys for workout, practice squad. But we're going through all that stuff right now. I'm just finished with the team, and I know the personnel department's gonna look into all that stuff and give us those options.
And then as far as the re-signing or bringing back, I should say, of Kendrick Bourne, can you kind of give the reasoning or just what you believe that Kendrick can bring to the team? I mean, you obviously know him very well.
We love KB from his time here, and he did a hell of a job while he was in New England. So when he got let go, we tried to bring him in here a couple weeks ago, and weren't able to quite get it done. And then Washington didn't either, and it ended up working out with us in the long run. So we got him here today. First time I've seen him back in the building was at a team meeting a little bit ago, and we're pumped to have him back here. We'll see how he does when he gets on the practice field Wednesday. For
the Brock Purdy shoulder injury, is that his left shoulder non-throwing, and did that occur on? It was a play in the first half where he was driven pretty hard into the turf. Is that the origin of it?
Yeah, that was it. The one he threw it. I think it was when he just overthrew Ricky a little bit to the left and went into the ground on it.
What about some of the other guys? Did Trent Williams make it through the game okay? And how did Christian come out of that game?
Yeah, I got no reports on either of them today, so I'm sure they're normal soreness from a physical football game, but their injuries were no reports on them, so that means they're good.
Kyle, is that a conversation you have with Jake about bringing in guys to try out at kicker and maybe bringing someone on the practice squad?
No, I haven't had it with him yet because I'm not sure which direction we're going to go. But whenever we decide on something, then we'll address it with him.
Kyle, Christian was on the field for 58 snaps out of 76, which is a lot for an offense. But was that about kind of where you'd like it to be rep-wise?
I don't really look at it. I don't put a number on it. Never have. I'd be surprised if I ever do. Kind of how it plays out. I mean, I think that's around it, give or take a few either way. But he's a hard guy to get off the field. We did it throughout the game, but sometimes we'll do it more, sometimes we'll do it less.
Kyle, are you going to have to put George Kittle on injured reserve and call up Braden Willis, or what's the plan there?
I mean, when they tell me a few weeks, it's always a possibility. I mean, in order to do that, it's got to be a 4-week injury. So, I don't think we've decided on that yet.
Kyle, looking at the so many young rookies on the defense, how did you think their performances were? I know Upton Stout had a challenging day, but other than that, how did you feel they went?
Well, I thought they did good. I mean, definitely things they can improve, but I mean, I think they're all about on the same level. I mean, even to throw Upton against all the other guys. I mean, Upton was at the point of contact a lot more, just being a nickel and how much they target their slot receiver. So I think you could see that a lot. But and I thought he did a good job. I mean, there was a couple that he missed, but I thought Upton played well, and I was pretty happy with all the other rookies too. Definitely a lot of stuff we can coach him on and get better from. But I thought it was a good first game for him.
What did you see from Michael Williams in particular? He didn't seem to register a lot of stats, but it seemed like he was a big part of the run defense.
Yeah, I thought he was. I think we mixed in a bunch of 5-man lines and 4-man lines, which I thought he did a good job on, moved around a number of times, and I thought he played his man well. I didn't see him on the stat sheet a ton, but I thought he did a good in his job and what we asked him to do, and hopefully he'll continue to get better.
How did
Kyle, I know you're
Marquise Siegel performed?
I was real happy with him. Flew around, made a lot of plays. Had that one missed tackle, but I thought his one missed tackle was good. He didn't break down at all, shot his guns, made the back come to a complete stop, and had that fumble recovery and played very fast in the game. Didn't hesitate, and that's where it starts.
Kyle, you're happy with the way you guys responded to adversity and everything, but when you look at the stats, do you come away at all thinking, man, we should have won by more than that?
You always think that. Not always, but I think we punted a couple times in the game, but when you have 4 drives in a row, I think I think there was 1 missed field goal, 2 picks, and a blocked field goal. That's 4 drives where you're not giving points, and you do that 4 times in a row. I'm worried that it's going to go completely the other way. So for us to be able to hold them, play good complementary football there, I think on our 4 sudden changes, I want to say we only gave up points on 1 of them, if that's correct, which allowed us to stay in it and overcome those things. And then I love how we controlled the ball in the second half, how we got the run game going and really leaned on them, which I really think kind of took their run game out of the game and allowed us to kind of control momentum and take it back over towards the end.
Kyle, when you went through the Jake Tonjes touchdown catch, what kind of stood out to you as you were viewing that?
That no one was open, and I didn't think Jake was, but for some reason Brock did. And when he threw it, at the end of it, he proved to us that Jake was open because he made a hell of a play stepping in front of Tariq like that, and it was a big-time catch. Earlier in that drive, he had his first NFL catch, and it was followed the next play by a second, and I want to say it was 3 plays later by the game winner. So I think Brock just ended up getting confidence in him very quickly as the drive went.
He's been around, Jake has, for a while now. What is it about him that has prompted you guys to, or inspired you guys to keep him around? What do you like about his game?
Well, I think, the biggest thing that stands out is his hands. He's got really good hands, which you could see on that last play. He's got athletic ability, and then when you tie athletic ability with someone's hands and size, he's got the tools to be good in the pass game. But he had to come a long way in the run game to be able to make the team and be out there. And he has come a long way in the run game, and he continues to improve in the pass game too. So I know yesterday was his first day kind of sticking out to anyone, and hopefully he'll continue to get better from that and put together a good career here.
Kyle, you guys got the deal done with Colton McKivitz. How meaningful was that for you? And how nice is it? I don't think he's missed a game since he became full-time starter. To with all the kind of moving pieces you've dealt with the last couple of years, to have a guy dependable like that.
Yeah, Colton's been one of, I think, the most reliable guys on our team, really since he got in when McGlinchey left. Colton's, to me, is such a good story. He was a 5th-round pick. We cut him once, put him on practice squad. He ended up coming back and playing for us. I still remember the Week 17 game versus the Rams when wasn't until before the game that we realized Trent couldn't go, and Colton went in there and played unbelievable, gave us a chance to go to the playoffs, and it was the next year that he really took over that starting position at right tackle, and he's been our guy there ever since. So just the consistency he's played with, the fact that I believe he gets better each year also, and really that I think Colton's one of the true leaders on our team and truly a 49er, and really pumped that we found a way to keep him here.
Kyle, if Mac Jones does have to start this week, just kind of what's his state of readiness based on what you saw in camp leading into this?
I think Mac had a really good camp, going back all the way to OTAs and training camp. I think he's gotten really used to what we do. Had a little setback there the last couple of weeks of camp with the injury that he got, but he had a good week of practice last week, picking up really right where he left off, and he has to go this week. He'll lead the guys. The guys will believe in him, and I know he'll do his job at a high level.
What about the number 3 quarterback position, Adrian Martinez? I don't think that he's attempted an NFL pass. Would you need to bring somebody in who's more experienced if Brock can't go?
It's a possibility. I mean, I think it has to do with really how Brock is probably over these next 24 hours throughout the week. But that's stuff we'll look into. We've been happy to get Adrian here, heard good things about him from the Jets, and really enjoyed him last week in our first week of practice together, just watching him a little bit and get to know him some, but all that stuff will be fluid probably throughout the week in the next 24 hours.
Kyle, with George going out, are you comfortable with Braden Willis being bumped up?
Oh, yeah. Braden was bumped up a ton last year and was on a roster a ton last year. So Braden's played in a lot of games for us, and we wouldn't hesitate to bring Braden out there.
Take a few more guys.
Kyle, does Juwan have a chance to play Sunday?
Yeah.
Okay. Thanks.
Sure.
Anything else, guys? All right, appreciate it.